All right, so welcome everybody. This is our live session for Home Care Owners Corner, our Facebook group. Thanks for joining us. If you are watching this as a replay, don't forget to give us a thumbs up. And if you're watching us on YouTube, share and don't forget to subscribe. Leave us a comment below. Let us know where you're watching us from. All of this helps the algorithm, helps out the channel, and lets this information get out to other people that could benefit from it. All right, so if you hear a lot of background noise, I'm going to apologize ahead of time. There are there's some people moving in my office building, and they're just making a tremendous amount of noise right now. So I apologize ahead of time for this. All right, so let's take a look here. So we are going to answer some questions. Now, those of you that that want to have your own questions answered, you can join us in the Facebook group and drop a post, or I put up a post every week about 2 hours um, before I start these live sessions, and sometimes I put them up. I put the post up the day before. Feel free to leave a comment there with whatever questions you want to talk about. You can email us at info@thebrionesgroup.com, or you can find us on LinkedIn and leave us a message. If you are watching the replay of this and you have a question that you want answered, whatever platform you're watching this on, or if you're listening to us on our podcast, wherever your favorite podcast, whatever favorite podcast medium you use, just leave us a comment or shoot us an email, and we'll be sure to get to your question every week. Most of the time, we do these on Saturdays, but I got kids, and things like Boy Scouts and basketball and things like that are starting to take, starting to get going here. So I may be moving the live streams to a different day of the week. Let us know below in the comments, or if you're watching us live right now, let us know what your thoughts are as to what would work best for you for these sessions. Or if not, you could always catch us on the replay. All right, so that being said, question number one. What are some key strategies for expanding home care business into a new geographic market? How can we ensure a smooth transition while maintaining our service quality? All right, so this is a question that I've covered before on the channel on, some things to keep in mind for, when you're looking at how to expand your home care agency, some of the steps. But I'm actually going to go through today. I'm going to try to definitively answer this question for you guys. This is something that I've prepared for a private client, where we were working on a strategy and a plan to expand to multiple locations over a set period of time. All right. And this is generally how I view this, and how how I suggest, if you're trying to figure out how to do this, how to do it right. Okay. So here we are. Let's take a look. I'm going to move some stuff out of the way on the screen here. All right. So let's start here. This is your existing office. So your goal is to maintain normal operations. Okay. That office needs to be, if you want to maintain service quality and be able to grow and expand, you have to be able to maintain your normal operations and keep it going as smoothly as possible. Okay. That is very important, especially for the stability and the continuity of service for your clients. It's also going to, by being able to do that, you're going to be able to maintain the processes so that your revenue does not get affected if there is a dip at any point in the service quality. That's what's going to end up happening. So you want to maintain this way you have steady growth and everything. And this is all in the preparation stage. So one of the ways you're going to do this is you're going to create SOPs. All right. So one of my favorite things, and you can look them up on your own. It's a product called Scribe. They are They have like a free version that you can use as a Google Chrome extension if you're going to do things on the web, or they have a paid version of it that allows you to do other documents. This will help you create your SOPs. For those of you who are not familiar with what an SOP is, that is your standard operating procedure. This is extremely important if you want to be able to repeat the same level of success from location to location. You have to keep it simple. Your people, whoever you end up hiring, has to be able to have at their hands or at their fingertips, however you want to look at it, a simple way to do repetitive tasks. So if your scheduling team is using a software platform, okay, um, then that means that they have the same routines every single day. There is a fixed method on how to add people into the schedule, how to adjust the schedules, how to replace caregivers. There's a fixed method on how to do billing, how to do payroll, how to verify shifts. All of these things are repeatable tasks. Okay. Your internal marketing team, your inside marketing team, whoever that may be, it could be one person doing multiple tasks, but whoever's responsible for things like posting to social media. Many of you are, especially larger agencies, if you're looking at multi-unit expansion, you're a large enough agency that you probably have either somebody doing this already or some sort of social media planner in place. Well, that process is a simple and repetitive steps. How do you create the ads? How do you design the posts? How do you load them into your social media planner and so on and so on? Everything you do in your office needs to have an SOP. I said you have a lot of tools out there. I personally like Scribe. I'm not getting any. This is not promotion or anything. I don't. So I'm. You can look them up yourself and figure that out. But if not them, find something else that works for you. But create that. Okay. Once you have that in place and you have stable and normal operations, and you've made headway or have created an SOP for these repeatable steps, then you're going to start looking into your new territory. Okay. Take a look at, what really fits your business model. How viable is that territory? How far away? What licensing restrictions you might have? But you need to understand where to open. What are you going to be your parameters? And start looking for all of this. At this point, you're going to once you understand where how you're going to run things, you've started putting in your systems and your SOPs in place, and now you've selected where you want to open. Now you're going to begin interviewing a scheduler, a marketer, and a recruiter. Okay, you're going to start just interviewing for people that can work in this new territory. Okay, your benchmark number one at this point is going to be 10% of your total revenue is to be found in your new territory. Meaning, if you are doing $1 million annual revenue, that breaks down to about $88,000 a month, give or take. All right. I'm sure if I made a mistake on that, a bunch of you are going to tell me something in the comments, and that's cool. But you're looking for 100,000, which is roughly 8,000 worth of revenue coming from the new territory you're selecting. Okay. At that point, then from there, you're going to start actually looking to look for a new office, select it, whether it's going to be a primary office with separate licensing and everything else, or if it's going to be um, just a satellite office. My suggestion is always start with a satellite office, run it off of your existing licensure, if it's permitted in your state, and off of your existing legal entity. Okay. So once you've hit that benchmark, you've gotten that in place. Now you are hiring your scheduler and recruiter. You're starting to migrate your existing clients and caregivers into whatever scheduling system software that you have for this new entity. Okay. And you're going to begin to interview marketers. I didn't say you're hiring marketers at this point. You're just interviewing. Okay. So in the beginning, you're just to break it down to where we are so far. So we're not losing anybody. You're going to select you got your existing office. You're going to pick where you want to open. The next thing, you're going to begin to interview your scheduler, recruiter. You're going to start doing some passive or soft marketing and heavy recruiting for people that can work in the new territory. Once this leads to 10% of overall revenue in the new territory that you've picked, that's when you're going to start looking at your new office. Once you have the new office lease assigned, whatever it is, now at this point you've hired your schedule, okay, or your recruiter. Those are usually the first positions you want to hire in an office to kind of take some of the workload off your hands and your stress. All right, and then you're going to start to migrate these clients that you've already marketed for, and these caregivers, to start working out of the new office. Then at that point is when you're going to begin to interview marketing people, sales and marketing, business developers. Okay. That's when we're working towards benchmark number 2. At this point, benchmark number 2 is 20% of total revenue is in the new territory. So now you've basically doubled the second office revenue. So once again, we'll use the example of $1 million. Now we went from, benchmark 1 was roughly $8,800 or more in revenue out of, into the new territory. Now we're looking at roughly 16,000. All these numbers happen pretty quickly if you have good systems in place. At this point, now what you want to do is actually hire the marketer, and you want to hire somebody that is great at opening new accounts and building these relationships quickly to start generating these referrals, because you're going to start working towards creating a separate legal entity for this new office. You're going to apply for new licensing if it's required in your state. You're going to make it its own complete entity altogether. And now you're working towards now creating 50% of total revenue. So now we're not looking at 200,000 to 300,000 anymore. If you have $1 million office at location 1, now our goal is $500,000 in annual revenue at location 2. At this point, what you're going to start looking at, and for this particular example, for this one client, they have a specific goal in mind to achieve a certain number of offices in over the next couple of years. So at this point, they now started to look for other locations, and they're repeating the workflow. All right. So if you follow a similar plan and you keep on this trajectory, you should be able to maintain the quality of service because all your people are properly trained. You have a predictable system. This is what makes franchising successful. It's that it takes a lot of the guesswork out, and it makes it easier to hire people. Now, there's pros and cons to franchising, and we'll save that for another video if somebody asks about it. But essentially, this is what happens. They have systems in place that allows processes to be repeatable, which makes the impact of staff turnover, it minimizes it greatly. So the more you can put these things in place, the more autonomous the business runs. And now one owner can operate 6, 7, 8 locations while having all of this in place. Now, this is for a single unit expansion that I'm talking about here to multiple units. Once we start repeating this process, after a while, our organizational chart is actually going to have to change, and your management tiers are going to have to adapt. You're going to have to start looking at what, not just office managers, but maybe regional managers and things of that nature, and a general manager or director of operations. All right, so that should that's the short version of the first question. If hopefully that was helpful to you guys. If anyone has any questions about this, please feel free to leave a comment below, and maybe we'll do a follow-up video if we get enough response to this. All right, question 2. So home care is a competitive market. So how can businesses differentiate themselves to attract new clients? All right, this has a second part to the questions. Are there specific marketing tactics or innovative service offerings that can help drive growth? All right, so the answer to this is yes, there are specific tactics. The second part I'll answer first. Um, and, you know, are there innovative services? That one, not so much. You know, there's it's not about the service itself being innovative. Technology is helping with some things and helping to streamline them, but we'll talk about that when I go over the whole thing here in a moment. The big question is, how can a home care agency differentiate themselves to attract new clients? All right. So this is actually a very important question to answer. If you are a Medicaid agency, and I'm going to answer this in a couple of different parts. If you're a Medicaid agency, differentiators aren't really going to be there. There are some. Before you guys beat me up in the comments, there are some agencies that manage to make themselves slightly different. Okay, but the reality is this: the competition isn't as fierce in Medicaid as it is in private pay, simply because you have one payer source, and it's the government. So the government doesn't require you to do anything but your job. All right, they have very low payouts, so it makes it very hard to grow your service offerings unless you can figure out a new way to build a government for it. The individual clients will not be paying privately, so it makes it that much more challenging to expand services. So as far as differentiating yourself there, that really has to do with your recruitment practices more than anything else. All right, and I think it is very important to have differentiators as far as your company culture and your values. Good caregivers will provide better care, and the better care will attract new clients even in the Medicaid space. Okay. Um, that's a management and internal operations and how you differentiate yourself. Is it as important to the end user client? Sometimes, but you're better off being able to attract and retain quality caregivers than you are quality clients in the Medicaid space. When it comes to private pay, okay, private pay home care, the key is understanding your audience. You have to know who you're speaking with. All right. When you understand who it is that you're trying to serve, right, that's going to make it that much easier, that much more streamlined to create that constant and consistent flow of referrals. You know, you have to understand, number one, what's your business model? Okay. And number two, what's your pricing strategy when it comes to it? So if you aren't already following our YouTube channel, I have videos on pricing strategy and things like that. So please feel free to check them out. When I go to post this on YouTube, I'll link that video somewhere. So you can keep that in mind there. But here's what it is. If I know that if I can walk in and I'm a marketer, okay, I'm going to put myself in the position of a marketer for this explanation. I need to be able to explain to referral partners what makes our agency different. Okay. So one of the things I'm going to do is market research. And if, let's say, for example, I already know and understand what all of my competitors are doing, and I find a pattern. Everybody in the area is, let's say, for example, I'll use actually an example from 2 weeks ago's Facebook Live. Everybody in the area is charging for in-homes. All right, they're charging like $50 to $100 to come and do the client assessment, just because in case the client doesn't sign up, they at least didn't take a bath on the start of care. Okay, great. I'm going to differentiate myself by not charging for it. Okay, I understand that the short-term loss is going to be a big enough differentiator that when I'm talking to the discharge planners or the social workers, that this is going to make a significant impact on the number of clients that they're going to refer me. So while I may lose maybe 0.5%, 1% over the course of a year by not charging for the in-home, I'll make it up by volume over the long term. Okay, because if a client is in the skilled nursing facility or in the hospital and they are concerned about their finances, that that little push may cause the social worker or discharge planner to nudge people in your direction because they already see you're more reasonable by not charging for that. Okay, that's one thing. The other thing is by understanding what the needs of the community are. So I've said this a number of times throughout the years, but everything has to kind of start with the hospital, right? If you have to understand what your territory is and where it all begins. So if you do some research and find out what are the primary zip codes that people are discharging from a particular hospital, and if those are discharges that are of interest to you, now you can go and look in through by doing some research through CMS or American Hospital Directory. You can get a solid idea as to what the most common conditions are that are being discharged from that hospital in your specific area. So if, let's say, I'm going to Tampa General or Hackensack University Medical Center or IU West, or whatever other hospitals out there, if I go on and I do my research and I find out that the 3 primary discharging zip codes are in communities that I want to service, that's going to be where I'm going to put my attention. Now, if I see that there's a large number of people being admitted into the hospital or discharged from the hospital after, orthopedic surgery and cardiac issues, those are things that I'm going to make sure that my marketing is going to focus on. So that means, let's say that the hospital is known for joint replacements, like knee or hip replacements, then I'm going to focus a lot of my marketing, a lot of my training for my caregivers, and a lot of my messaging on how we help with, HRRP, or the Hospital Readmission Reduction Program. So this way, we understand, we provide the specific training for how to help people with hip replacements or knee replacements. And, our focus is on that 30-day rehospitalization. I'm also going to craft my messaging by understanding where my skilled nursing facilities or my inpatient short-term rehabs, all right, where people will go for after, post-surgery. And I will focus on or develop a specific program, like a sales, like almost like an incentive package that, hey, listen, if you sign up for X amount of hours a week, we'll bring the caregiver to you to do PT so that the PT will be able to show them the proper range of motion exercises. Or if you have an area that has a lot of, like a hospital that a lot of people come in for strokes or other traumatic brain injuries, now I'm going to come in and I'm going to work with this rehab center and say, hey, listen, you send me these clients, we'll arrange for our caregivers to come in and do training with you on the speech therapy that the client will need, or some of the occupational therapy that the client will need. There are limits as to what a caregiver can do when caring for a client, like, low range of motion or repetitive words, or, just limited activity, because they're caregivers, they're not nurses, but they're still within the scope of practice and covered by most licensing in most states. Having that type of differentiator will dramatically improve your likelihood of getting those high quality referrals. Now, I'm going to go a little bit on an off note here with this. Agencies, because of the caregiver issue right now, which I have very strong opinions on, but because of the caregiver issues and concerns right now, a lot of agencies are only chasing these big clients. They want the 24/7. Everybody does. That's great. But understand that nobody gets younger and nobody gets healthier. Okay. As we age, our bodies break down. And once people have these major health events, the likelihood is that at some point or another, they will need additional help. Taking a client that's 20, 30 hours, 40 hours a week, 50 hours a week, it can be equally valuable over the client lifetime than as a 24/7 client, which, yes, it's more revenue immediately, but they also have a shorter client lifetime value. Excuse me. So these are things for you to keep in mind. So go in, understand what you're looking for, understand not just, what the conditions are, but also understand where to find these people. And all it takes is a little bit of research and understanding the demographics and understanding like I said, the demographics and what the conditions are by really understanding your territory and understanding what the makeup is of that territory. All right. So with that being said, today is going to be a little bit of a shorter session than normal. All right. And we appreciate you guys taking the time to join us. I said, if you got some value out of this, please don't forget to give us a like, subscribe to the channel. I really can't stress that enough. A lot of you watch this channel but don't really subscribe, and leave us a comment. Those comments and the subscribe really helps with the algorithm, and it helps us spread information, and it lets me know that these videos are valuable to you. So it makes it, so it gives me incentive to keep doing them. All right, I had stopped for a while because I wasn't getting a lot of feedback. Um, I received a lot of emails by regular viewers about asking why I stopped doing the videos. So we're back, but I really need the feedback to make this worthwhile. Okay, so if you're watching us live, please, or if you're watching the replay of this in our Facebook group, comment, like, share. Let other people know. If you're watching this on any other platform or listening to the podcast, I'm gonna ask you guys, please share, comment, give us a like, some sort of feedback, something to let others know that we exist. Okay, these videos, they take a little bit of time, and I go out of my way sometimes, come in on a weekend, so I can bring you guys this information. So you guys have a great day, and we will see you guys soon. Thank you.